The truth behind her empty plate. I thought my mother hated the taste of food for years, until I realized she was dying of hunger inside every night, just to make sure my small stomach was always full and warm. And this is the story that finally changed my cold heart. It was a very freezing winter night in old Boston City. The year was 1995 and we were extremely poor. My name is Ledger and I was only 7 years old then, living with my mother in a tiny one-room apartment downtown. The smell of wet rain and old dust was everywhere in the halls. Our heater was broken and the floor felt like blocks of ice. My mother Elodie was a thin woman with very tired eyes, but she always sang a sweet song while she cooked for me. I remember the heavy iron factory where she worked all day, lifting massive boxes while the cold wind blew through the windows. She never complained about her aching back or her swollen feet, because her only goal was to keep me in a good school. I remember the lunch break at the factory was very short. While other workers shared sandwiches and hot chicken soup, my mother would sit alone in the corner with a glass of water, pretending she was full from a large breakfast she never had. Every night at 7 o'clock we sat at the small wooden table. There was only one small candle burning slowly in the dark. She would place a large plate of hot white rice before me, with a piece of chicken that smelled like heaven to a boy. I would look at her plate and see absolutely nothing on it. It was a white ceramic plate with no food at all every night. I asked her mother, "Why are you not eating with me tonight?" And she replied, "Ledger, I had a very big lunch at my work." I remember walking to school with holes in my old shoes, feeling the snow melt against my skin in the freezing morning, while other children laughed and showed off their new winter coats. I kept my head down and promised to make my mother proud. Once a bully at school asked why my jacket was so thin. I told him boldly that I liked the feeling of the fresh air, but inside I was crying because I knew my mother was freezing too, selling her own warm coat just to pay for my math books. I believed her lie because I was just a naive little boy. I ate every grain of rice while she watched me with a smile. Her eyes were shining with a strange and deep kind of love, as if my eating was giving her own tired body strength. But sometimes I heard her stomach growling very loud in the quiet, a deep sound of hunger that she tried to hide from my ears. She would cough or start talking to cover the noise of pain, because she never wanted me to feel the heavy weight of poverty. When I turned 12, I started working after my school hours, delivering heavy newspapers to the rich houses across the river, hoping to bring home enough coins to buy a loaf of bread, but she always insisted that I put the money in my college jar. 15 years passed like a fast autumn wind over the harbor, and the small boy from the streets of Boston was now a man. My name is Ledger, and I worked night and day to be successful, to escape the ghost of poverty that always followed us home. I worked as a janitor while studying for my law degree at night, drinking bitter coffee to stay awake until the sun came up, watching my mother grow thinner as the years moved forward, hoping that one day I could give her the life she deserved. I was now a top lawyer in a high-rise building by the water, wearing expensive Italian suits and heavy gold watches on my wrist. I had everything I once dreamed of having as a hungry child, but my mother Elodie was slowly becoming very weak and old. I found her diary with yellow and thin paper pages one afternoon. I read the words she wrote during those long and hungry nights, realizing that her stomach was screaming for a single bite of bread, while she smiled and told me she was not hungry at all. I turned the page and my heart began to shatter into pieces. She wrote, "Lord, please give me the strength to finish the work. My knees are shaking and the world is spinning fast today, but I must finish cleaning this mansion to buy my son a gift." It was the night of my 10th birthday in the cold city. I remember coming home and seeing a small chocolate cake. I was so happy and I ate the whole thing alone in one sitting. But the diary says she did not eat for 2 days to buy it. I fell to my knees and held her thin and cold hands in mine, saying, "Mother, I read your diary from 20 years ago today. I know about the hunger and the empty winter nights you faced." She smiled and said, "Ledger, I would do it all again for you." I promised to honor her name by helping the poor in the city, founding the Elodie Foundation for Hungry Children in Boston, because money is useless if you do not help other people, and no child would ever have an empty plate in our town again. This was the true success of my billion-dollar lawyer life, not the cars or the gold, but the act of giving back. I hired the best doctors to care for my mother every single day, spending our afternoons sitting in the warm garden sun together. Now I sit at my large table every single evening for dinner, leaving one empty plate in the center of the room to remember, to thank the woman who loved me more than her own life, and to remember that a mother's love is the greatest wealth. Every dollar I earn now goes to feeding the hungry families, because I remember the sound of a growling stomach in the dark, and I know that no one should ever have to lie about their lunch just to save the dignity of the person they love the most. Now it is time for our word power segment of the lesson. The word sacrifice means giving up something for someone you love. The word poverty means the state of being extremely poor in life. The word honor means to show great respect for someone special. The word diary is a book where you write your private secrets. The word foundation means an organization created to help others. The word gratitude means the quality of being very thankful. And shatter means to break into many small pieces at once. Thank you for learning with LingoNova English tonight. Please subscribe and share this emotional story with everyone. We hope to see you in our next English video lesson soon. Stay blessed and keep practicing your English every single day.